Hello everyone. Before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's Log, subdates 220928.7. We're going to go back and lay some additional charges at the feet of somebody who is already going to be here for what will be the rest of his life. Just how screwed does one perp want to be? Surely at this point, they're a masochist. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Halls of Injustice. Today we're going to be revisiting a previous inmate. Can't be sure of the number, might be inmate number 138. Or something around that area. His name is R. Kelly, and R. Kelly, it seems, is in even more trouble than he ordinarily was when he got 30 years for the previous convictions. This silly bish is looking at some rather lengthy time on top of the lengthy time he's already guaranteed. A man who had it all, had everything. He had the money, the fame, the acclaim, the respect, and he decided his taste for younger blood was just too much, and because of that fame, acclaim, respect, and success, he should be entitled to the youth, which is why there's a rather sus marriage. Very sus. It's why many more came forward, because they realized they had nothing to fear from R. Kelly anymore, and the DA in other states decided, we're having him here as well, and if we can, we're going to dump what we put on him on top of his already existing sentence, so he never sees the light of day again, unless he lives to an incredibly old age. So what we're going to do, because there's no point in us revisiting the last video, which I'll link below, I will give you the Cliff's Notes from that to catch you all up. And then we're going to delve into what it is he has done that is guaranteed to put him, at least until he's in his 80s, into an ISO cube, on top of the other 30 years that is. Yeah, when I said in the Captain's Log, you have to be a bit of a masochist, yeah, glutton for punishment R. Kelly most certainly is, and glutton for punishment he'll want to be for the next 60 years. You'll understand why when we get to it. So let us begin with, let's catch up with R. Kelly. Robert Sylvester Kelly, aka R. Kelly, aka inmate number 131, yes I corrected it now, is one of the greatest R&B singer, songwriter, record producers of all time. The man has been married twice, has 3 children, is 55 years old, and in 2021, in a Brooklyn federal court, he was convicted for violations of the Mann Act and racketeering. R. Kelly has been the subject of many documentaries, the more notable being Surviving R. Kelly. A number of people who featured within that were in fact witnesses in the original trial in 2021. For his crimes, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison, 20 years for 3 acts of the Mann Act, coercion and enticement, a 20-year sentence for 1 violation of the Mann Act, transportation of a minor, and 10 years for 3 counts of Mann Act transportation across state lines for illegal sexual activity, along with 5 years of supervised release with conditions typical for sex offenders. Now you might think, hang on, the math doesn't make any sense there, you're right. That's because they run concurrently, 2 of the 20-year charges do anyway. So he has a 20-year sentence and a 10-year sentence. And just in case people have forgotten what the Mann Act is, it is a felony to engage in interstate or foreign commerce transport or any woman or girl for the purpose of prostitution or debauchery or for any other immoral purpose. The intention of it was to address prostitution, immorality, which is a bit subjective, and human trafficking. R. Kelly's been heavily involved in that for quite some time. I wonder if he was friends with Jimmy Savile. Now this, being the more condensed version, should amply cover all that you really need to know about R. Kelly before we go into the newer charges from the more recent trial. We were waiting for this on purpose because we knew we'd have to come back to this. And boy oh boy is R. Kelly screwed. So let us now look at what it is he additionally was charged with in Chicago. Courtesy of my Discord server and Twitter going absolutely apeshit as it usually does with topics like R. Kelly, because seriously we like to mock a nonce. R. Kelly was convicted on multiple charges including that stuff I can't say. This was on the 15th of September 2022. Well then, we are a tad removed from the last Halls of Injustice. 12 to be exact. Yes, I'm now going to keep on latching onto the fact I got the number wrong earlier. And in that time, over 3 months, closer to 4, Robert Sylvester Kelly has stood trial yet again because of more charges laid at his feet from another state. As you may have noticed from the transition card thing writing on the screen doodah, we're going to Chicago now, and R. Kelly is in a lot of trouble. R. Kelly was already serving a 30-year prison sentence when the trial began. The trial in Chicago, the city R. Kelly has long called home, carried echoes from his first courtroom spectacle there in 2008, when the victim, who was his goddaughter, did not cooperate with investigators, and a jury acquitted him of producing child sexual imagery. This time, the woman cooperated. She testified that it was her who appears in a video that showed R. Kelly sexually her when she was 14. At the new trial, R. Kelly and his associates were acquitted of charges that they had worked to obstruct the earlier criminal investigation that led to the 2008 acquittal. A former employee, Daryl McDavid, was acquitted of arranging payments to people attempting to recover video showing R. Kelly engaging in sex acts with a minor. And another former employee, Milton Brown, who was accused of conspiring to recover child sexual imagery, was also acquitted. Now for this we need to know more about a trial in 2008. That trial was a result of a 2002 grand jury indictment on R. Kelly on 21 counts of child pornography, which were later reduced to 14. This case took years to go to a jury, and during this time the singer debuted some of the biggest hits of his career. The trial revolved around a 27-minute tape that prosecutors said showed R. Kelly having sex with a teenage girl and urinating on her. The case hinged on whether the jury was convinced that the people in the tape were who the prosecutors said they were. Both R. Kelly and the young woman had denied they were the ones on the tape, and neither testified in the trial. This led to the jury finding R. Kelly not guilty on all charges. The jurors had later said that the young woman's refusal to testify was a significant barrier to convicting him. Let's not forget here, HD did not exist at this time. Grainy quality was right. Confirmation from the victim was a must. The point of this trial, the more recent one, was to focus on charges that R. Kelly and his associate McDavid had conspired to obstruct the previous investigation by paying off people with knowledge of R. Kelly's abuse and seeking to suppress evidence. Prosecutors accused R. Kelly of persuading the minor in the tape to deny to a grand jury in the early 2000s that she had sexual relationships with R. Kelly, and that it is her in the 27-minute video. According to the federal indictment, R. Kelly and Mr. McDavid arranged payments and bought gifts for the minor and her parents over a roughly 15-year period to keep them loyal and prevent them from speaking to law enforcement about this. This is what we call hush money, by the way. They were part of a broader effort, prosecutors said, to hide evidence of R. Kelly's sexual from investigators. In 2001, after state officials started investigating whether R. Kelly had been abusing the child at the center of the 2008 trial, Kelly and his associates realized that several videotapes of the singer had gone missing. I've not said that part. You can see it on the screen. According to the indictment in the case, that is. After this realization, both R. Kelly and Mr. McDavid started a multi-year effort to reclaim those videos, employing a man called Charles Freeman, who during this recent trial testified that he was directed to return tapes without even knowing what was on them. And around the time of the first trial in Chicago, Charles Freeman had said he had planned a news conference about the existence of footage of R. Kelly having sex with a minor, and according to the indictment, R. Kelly and Mr. McDavid and others paid Charles Freeman $170,000 to cancel it. The charges of receiving child sexual abuse imagery related to the effort of recovering several missing videos of Mr. Kelly engaging in sex acts with the person at the center of the 2008 trial. Well, these are a lot of words, aren't they? Just how screwed do you think R. Kelly is at this moment? Anyone want to take a wild guess between buggered and never seeing the light of day again? Don't worry, there's more. So as I earlier stated, the woman whose testimony in 2008 was a missing piece of evidence was vital in this trial. Testifying under a pseudonym, the woman told the jury that R. Kelly, who had been her godfather, started to when she was 14. She said that in 2002, after law enforcement officials had obtained a videotape of this, R. Kelly sent her and her parents out of the country to make them inaccessible to investigators. When they returned to Chicago, the woman testified R. Kelly had urged her to deny to a grand jury that it is her on the tape and paid for a lawyer to accompany her. She had said that she had falsely told the grand jury that it is not her in the tape and that she was not involved sexually with R. Kelly. The woman also said that she gave R. Kelly's lawyers a necklace of hers that can be seen on the videotape, with her testifying, "I no longer wanted to carry his lies." In cross-examination, R. Kelly's lawyer pointed to the woman's immunity deal with prosecutors, which prevents her from being charged with perjury, as a reason the jury should doubt her account. 3 other women, though, testified that R. Kelly had sexually thatted them when they were underage. The jury then heard from several other witnesses, including a clinical psychologist who focuses on the grooming of minors, and Daniel Everett, a retired Chicago police detective who had investigated the videotape in the early 2000s and said that the location at which it had been shot matched R. Kelly's home in Chicago. Lawyers for the defendants called several witnesses who pointed out inconsistencies in the accuser's accounts of events, including one woman claiming she was 16 years old when R. Kelly first did that to her, which conflicts with a lawsuit she filed that listed her as 17 at the time. For Mr. McDavid, he testified only on his own behalf. He just denied knowing that there was any underage girl on the tapes, and that he was helping R. Kelly recover, but said that he was embarrassed and sad after learning a lot of things that he had no idea about in 2008. By all means, roll your eyes at that. Now, how this trial differed from the one in Chicago was entirely down to a legal approach. In Brooklyn, he was convicted of 1 count of racketeering based on allegations he was the ringleader of a criminal enterprise. He was also convicted of 8 counts of violating the Mann Act, so he was screwed from the offset. In this trial, the charges were just as complex, because he faced 5 counts of coercing a minor into criminal sexual activity, 4 counts of doing so for the purpose of producing a video, 2 counts of receiving child porn, 1 count of conspiring to receive child porn, and 1 count of conspiring to obstruct an investigation. Of 13 counts, he was convicted of 6 of them. And just to give you a spoiler, because we haven't got the sentence for this part yet, not until early 2023, some of those have a minimum of 10 years each. He's looking at a minimum of 10 years. Technically 30. It depends on whether or not the judge does it concurrently or consecutively. I would say consecutively because concurrent is a joke, but if he were going to do that, he'd already be facing 50 years, and then an additional 30. I don't think he's leaving prison alive. One part of this all that was not addressed was the illegal marriage to the singer Aaliyah when she was 15 years old, with R. Kelly being 27 at the time. Witnesses in that testified that R. Kelly had touched Aaliyah when she was only 13 or 14 years old. R. Kelly's legal team, though, for this asked the judge to exclude evidence relating to the marriage, and that evidence was therefore not introduced. But R. Kelly's fate isn't even over yet. You see, it's not just Chicago where he's screwed. You see, he still faces additional sex crime charges in the state of Illinois and in Minnesota, unless of course the prosecutors decide to drop the cases in the wake of the singer's second federal conviction. I would say, for the sake of it, YOLO Swag Fam, we're going another 2 times. Because mad bants and lols, and I want to see him squirm a little more, because we don't get to see him squirm in prison, and this part's going to get more fascinating as it unfolds. R. Kelly is looking at being in prison until he's well into his 80s, at least. He is well and truly screwed, and I can't wait to see this unfold even further, especially if the prosecutors do decide, even though he's kind of there forever, let's just make sure it's double forever. Am I right, folks? Maybe I need to get a model of R. Kelly in one of my ISO cubes to be next to Jimmy Savile. If anyone would like to draw that, do hit me up with suitable PNG image of R. Kelly believing he can fly in a prison cell.